We are Renaissance. Energy for people and planet. We are
the president of NAPE, the first president of NAPE, Mr. Oteri. We all call you 001, and Chief Chambers Oyibo, and all the presidents here present. I would just say it's a very, very rare honor for me to be here. And I just want to say, in addition to all of you here, distinguished executives of NAPE and members of NAPE, my colleagues, my friends, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. And I had prepared a few slides, but I think I'm just going to read my narratives, because my narratives will be as reaching as the slides that you will see. So we are here today to celebrate 50 years of NAPE, 5 decades of ideas, of innovation, and of unwavering resilience in our oil and gas industry. For me, this is more than an anniversary. It is deeply personal. Today, I want to share a story. It's our story. Our story, all of us in this room. It's also my story. And of course, a story that runs in parallel with NAPE. It's NAPE's own story. It's a story of how a small idea, born in the meeting rooms and nurtured by bold thinking, grew into an enterprise of continental significance. So the origins, an early vision. It's quite touching, because I want to go back to the late 1980s. In 1988, I had just left Shell, 3 years on. This was at Geotrex Systems Limited. And all of you who are staff of Geotrex System in this room, please, I want you to stand up for recognition. Because we call Geotrex Systems Limited a very endearing consulting entity. We're based in Bagada, by the way. We're the only oil and gas-related company that was not on the island. And that was very strange. It was an odd place to be. We were so-called the Bagada campus. In 1988, I drafted what became known as the Marginal Oil Development Consent. It was a memo. It was an inter-office memo. This wasn't just an engineering note. It was a vision for indigenous operators to take charge of small, overlooked oil fields and make them productive. We dreamt then of what we called, or we were going to call, Geotrex Exploration and Production Company Limited. But that never happened. In 1989, NAPE presented a special paper at a DPR seminar, Statutory Control of the Oil Industry in Nigeria. This was our public declaration. The politics of this period was very, very, very charged. Dr. Adegbola was the chief geophysicist at Shell. We wrote the paper, but he couldn't deliver it because it was not politically correct for the chief geophysicist of Shell to stand in an audience like this and be talking about how to bring change to an industry that was essentially IOCs. So the Lord fell on somebody else to deliver that paper. I was lucky. I had escaped from Shell. I was in a very, very wide, open thinking environment. So I took the brunt. I had to deliver his paper for him. And what was in the paper? The paper was calling for a drastic change to the industry and to give indigenous companies a chance to be part of that industry. That wasn't all. Fast forward, 1996, our mentor, I haven't seen him today. We all call him, where's Walimu? The teacher. Ebioma Shola, he delivered a classic paper on the Niger Delta reserves, confirming the basin's potential, and I believe that indigenous capacity was key to unlocking it. He revealed there was over 200 odd unappraised fields in Nigeria, all these waiting to be developed. So, that was the beginning of the story. Let's fast forward again. If you go to the next slide. Ogbele Field. Ogbele Field, thanks to Chevron, you entrusted Ogbele Field into the hands of a Nigerian entity that had no track record. But that wasn't Chevron, that was Gulf Oil Company. I don't know how many of you in this audience remember that. Those of you maybe from the second set of chairs, you don't know Gulf Oil because you weren't born when Gulf Oil was king in Nigeria. But that was Gulf Oil, which then became Chevron of today. Once again, thank you, Chevron. You entrusted Ogbele Field into the hands of an unknown Nigerian entity. So, Ogbele Field, which company? Niger Delta Petroleum Resources. Today, that company has metamorphosed into Aradel. We faced the Trojan horse dilemma then. And what was that? Chevron didn't give us 2 fields. Actually, Chevron gave us 12 fields. And we left the meeting. All the old guys were very happy we have 12 fields. I was the youngest in the group. Now, when I'm talking about youngest, I'm talking about people like Chief Harriet Adams. I'm talking of Dr. Swelly. I'm talking of late Alex Okoli, Eddie Yamo. They were all excited. Chevron had given us 12 fields. On the roundabout, on the Lekki Express Road, if you all know Chief Harriet Adams, he would always say, I want to use my pump. So we stayed in this rough terrain, and they noticed that I wasn't as excited as they were. And they asked why I wasn't jumpy. And I said, sirs, this is a Trojan horse. We don't need 12 fields. Of course, I was talking off point. But they were quick in understanding that my youthful voice could also count for something. So we drove to Chief Adams' office, and he asked me to explain myself. And I said, gentlemen, we have no money, we have no political will, we have nothing. 12 fields from my exploration upbringing is awesome. But let us take a positive decision about what we really want. So we chose 2 fields. The following week, we went back to Chevron. We returned 10 fields. And we said, thank you very much, but we wanted 2. That was the story of marginal field development, because there was 10 more for other people to take. So we fast forward. We overcame. Ogbele Field was developed. Ladies and gentlemen, these are the architects of Ogbele Field, and you can see that I don't feature. I'm right down at the bottom. Harriet Adams, John Jones, late Eddie Yamu, late David Richards, Dr. Swelly, late Samuel Ogbaju, late Alex Okoli. There are only just two of us working the street of Lagos, Dr. Swelly and I. I thank God for that. What did we do at Ogbele? We brought the field into production. Next slide. 20,000 barrels per day flow station we built. Crude storage facilities. Then we went further. We developed the first gas in the field. We decided to build, and we actually built, a 100 million standard cubic feet gas processing plant by 2010. This was the story and the beginning of domestic gas activities. We were the first indigenous company to deliver gas to Bonny and LNG, delivering only 1% of the volume that is processed every year. We never made 1% of the revenue, But the story went further. Between 2010 and 2020, there was need for us to start refining. And we built the first 1,000 barrels per day refinery. That went on by 2020. Capacity increased to 11,000 barrels per day. That was a leap. We have learned the ropes. We had learned how to crawl from Ogbele Field. And divestment then came along. Our next leap was OML 34, acquired from Shell, Total and Ajib in partnership with NNPC. OML 34 meant applying substantial domestic gas to the Escravos Lagos pipeline and the West African gas pipeline, as well as other gas-based industries and power plants existing along the way. And here lies a key message. IOC divestment is not a retreat. It is a strong and positive realignment. It created opportunities for Nigerians. While IOCs go deep water, Nigerian independence came to try to dominate onshore and shallow water, fast, efficient, and with a sense of national mission. That was our vision delivered. This was the bridge from a single field operator to a respectable national player. So I then come to the big story, the Renaissance Africa energy story. This is what I call our ultimate uncharted aspiration. Acquiring the entire shares of SPDC. This was most daring of all thoughts. Yes, people call it buying Shell. Yes, it sounded impossible. But today, that dream stands as Renaissance Africa Energy Company Limited, Nigeria's first indigenous integrated super major. This is the Ogbele facilities as it existed today. And you can see the awesomeness, the sprawling facilities. Bite, thank you very much for keeping the flag flying. Ebi, you are here. And I really, really appreciate all of you who had kept Ogbele going, not just as a marginal field anymore, but as a very, very significant integrated business. I'm told that you produce almost 16,000 barrels a day. You deliver more than 60 million standard cubic feet of gas to Bonny and LNG every day. Guys, in Aradale, well done. So if you then ask me, the first 4 months of Renaissance, production went up by more than 100,000 barrels a day. If what the EVP upstream said is something to understand, this is an awesome achievement. Roger, with your collaborating and supporting contributions to the Nigerian industry, we thank all those that have made this situation possible. Thank you very much. So here's Renaissance today. Andy Weston, Aradale, Walter Smith, First GMP, and Petrolane. It's all about partnership. It's all about trusting ourselves, and it's all about coming together, knowing that you cannot do things just by yourself. That had been our strength. Well, Renaissance has come. What do I see as the road ahead? There's a slide there. If you just go forward. What are the critical success factors that I personally have recognized? Resilience. I want to talk about native intelligence because many people do not understand the importance and the factor of native intelligence. We know Nigeria. We know the Niger Delta. That is a very, very strong character that each and every one of the Nigerian independent companies bring to the table. Native intelligence. Of course, there are other things. But there's one factor that I must talk about: paying your debt. Because if you borrow money from Nigerian banks and you don't pay, you spoil market for the others. And this is a very, very important matter that I really, really want to bring to the fore. For those of us who have to find money and can't find money outside of Nigeria, when you find money in Nigeria, which is always debt, please pay. Pay back. So there are all sorts of things that I've done here, that I've said here. Hurdles, lessons learned, business refrains, future hurdles, and what are the creative initiatives. One of the creative initiatives that I really want to talk about is about how can we develop human capital. This is a very, very serious matter for us to think about for the next 20, 40, 50 years. The human capital that will drive our future has to be cultivated. And Austin, thank you very much. You delivered the first of the series of lectures in a new initiative that I've championed, which is how do we find the human capital that will replace all this aging fleet that I see in front of me here. The NMGS, Niger Delta, and Layi Fatona annual lecture series had been initiated by NMGS. Thank you very much, Madam Rose. It has gone into its first year. This is the second year. And this year, Professor Philip Amadi from the University of Phoenix, Arizona, will also be talking about the matters of human capital. This is a very, very important subject matter for us in Nigeria. So, I really will bring this conversation to closure. What do I see as a journey of NAPE? I'm not going to talk about 50 years. I want to be very, very circumspect. I will say in the next 25 years. The road ahead that I see, Nigeria will become an energy secure and energy independent nation. I see Niger Delta as Africa's energy hub, and NAPE will make it happen because of the young force that you will have. I would like, and I hope, and I will see 4 new super majors coming out of Nigeria. And what will these super majors look like? They will be private sector driven. They will build the next East Africa, North Africa gas pipeline operations, in addition to what we have as the WACP. Colleagues, this is not just a corporate talk. It is a Nigerian story. It's the story of NAPE. It proves that our ideas not just can find oil, it actually has found oil and gas, and then it's turned them into energies of prosperity. At 50, NAPE has the talent, the networks, and the courage to lead Africa's energy future. It's my conviction. Let us go forward together, not just as explorers of petroleum, but as architects of a sustainable energy landscape. But before I say thank you, I want to say, where are we today as NAPE? There's a clip here. I don't know if the operator can play it. Can you? Ladies and gentlemen, this is the story of NAPE. Thank you very much. God bless you. Thank you, NAPE.
We are Renaissance. Energy for people and planet.